At 11:19 a.m. on April 20th, 1999, shooting began in the Columbine High School. Eric Harris, age 18, and Dylan Klebold, age 17, were both seniors at the high school. Although both participated in the shooting equally, it was later revealed that Eric was the mastermind behind it all. Both kept detailed journals, and while Dylan's journal revealed that he was extremely depressed and suicidal, Eric's journal revealed that he thought he was a god among men. A true believer in the idea of natural selection, Eric showed no remorse for his actions, while Dylan did. So why did they do it? While there are several prominent rumors that state that Eric and Dylan were both severely bullied, this is actually not the case. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Dylan and Eric were part of a very closed-off friend group, and in fact were noted to be bullies to several other students. In reading their journals and online blog posts, the motive for both of them becomes very clear. Eric deeply believed that everyone else on Earth was below him. He believed that no one thought the same as he did, that no one was as smart as he was, and that no one deserved to live like he did. His final act on Earth was choosing who got to live and die, a sign of his intense God complex. Dylan's motives are harder to understand. By all accounts, he was very much a follower, so it's believed now that he followed Eric in his final plan. Dylan was extremely suicidal, and it was later thought that Eric talked him into doing it so that they could kill themselves at the end. Dylan's journal frequently spoke of suicide. After the shooting, it was revealed that Dylan and Eric had both been visited by police before. They had a history of building pipe bombs and detonating them in fields, but ultimately, they were arrested for stealing several $100s worth of electronic devices from a parked van. They were both given a year in a program meant for deviant teenagers. Eric, diagnosed post-mortem with psychopathy, was extremely charming and got out of his sentence almost 3 months early. Dylan, however, had just finished the program a month before the shooting. Eric also applied to be in the Marines, but was called by a recruiter who told him that because of his mental issues, he was unfit for the Army. Columbine was the first major school shooting in America, but what happened after could be considered even more horrific. The number of reported school shootings in the last 5 years in America is well over 200. Named after the tragedy in Colorado, there is something known as the Columbine effect. Since 1999, there have been 74 known copycat cases. Of those cases, 53% involved guns. 95% of the plotters were male, and 80% of them were white. Because of the Columbine effect and other cluster effects, school shootings are now considered an epidemic in the United States. Another well-known killer who extensively researched the Columbine massacre before carrying out his own plot was Adam Lanza. At 9:55 a.m. on Friday, December 14, 2012, Adam Lanza entered Sandy Hook Elementary School and shot 20 children and 6 adults. Unlike other shooters, Lanza did not keep a journal. Diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when he was in junior high, he was eventually granted homebound status by his school, which is for children who are too disabled, even with supports and accommodations, to attend school. He spent his days at home locked inside his bedroom, often playing violent first-person shooter games. Although diagnosed with severe depression and OCD, records show that Adam Lanza did not visit a mental health professional after 2006, 6 years before the shooting. Before going to the school, Adam also killed his own mother. Because of his disabilities and his need for constant care, his mother often stayed home and had little to no social interaction. Because of this, information on Adam's behavior in the days leading up to the killing has been lost. James Knoll, a forensic psychiatrist at SUNY, was consulted about what motivated Lanza to kill. Knoll states that Lanza's final act conveyed a distinct message. I carry profound hurt, I'll go ballistic and transfer it onto you. That's as much motive as we're likely to find. After the shooting, the school was torn down and rebuilt on the state's budget. Just days after the shooting, signs in town began popping up that said, "We are Sandy Hook, we choose love." Despite the senseless loss of life, many parents and surviving students rallied to show support for those that had died. As the Guardian newspaper quotes, Newtown is not just a place, but a movement. Parents of those that died at the Sandy Hook School are now frontrunners in the gun debate. Although guns are an obvious scapegoat of this argument, commentators from around the United States are not so quick to blame guns. The most difficult and often most necessary question to ask after an incident of youth violence is, why did this happen? The Center for Disease Control has done numerous studies on youth violence. They've identified individual risk factors such as a history of aggressive behavior, low IQ, poor behavioral control, and antisocial beliefs and attitudes, family risk factors like low parental involvement or poor family functioning, peer and social risk factors like involvement with gangs, social rejection by peers, or poor academic performance, and community risk factors such as diminished economic opportunities, high level of transiency, high level of family disruption, or socially disorganized neighborhoods. Unsurprisingly, these are also risk factors for mental illness. Eric Harris, Dylan Klebold, Adam Lanza, and Cho Seung-hee were all diagnosed with mental illnesses either before or after they fatally shot students. Another interesting link between all these killers is their affinity for violence. Strong associations with violence, whether through writing or video games, has been reported in nearly all school shootings. In an article written by James Hassan, he says, "How did we get here? No single factor is to blame, but a few stand out. Our social media culture is breeding a generation of narcissists who have inflated opinions of their own importance and let the world know it one choreographed Instagram selfie at a time. Over 20 million children are currently being raised by single mothers, to say nothing of the millions more raised by emotionally absent or abusive fathers. Nearly every mass shooter did not have a father in his life." Hassan also points out what he deems to be the most important cause of mass shootings. In sum, the epidemic of mass shootings and sexual violence is not caused by masculinity, but by a warped understanding of it. The problem is not with men as such, but with a cultural shift that allows boys to remain boys well into adulthood. Fixing this cultural problem, or at least changing it the way we discuss it, will not eliminate mass shootings, but it may save some lost boys drifting in that direction. These points are all valid and well worth taking into consideration. But perhaps one of the most difficult things to understand about mass shootings, and school shootings in particular, is that there is no one main cause. Although gun laws certainly have a place in discussions of school shootings, the most important aspect is remembering that the individuals were sick. As the famous saying goes, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Addressing the mental health needs of students in this country, particularly white males, could be beneficial to preventing more school shootings.